Hi, I'm here with Jim Liberatore. He is the president and CEO of the Outdoor Channel, as well as the conglomerate.
Right, it's Outdoor Sportsman Group Networks, it's World Fishing Network, Sportsman Channel, and Outdoor Channel are the three networks.
So you're kind of a big deal.
No, not really. But I work with a lot of people who are big deals.
You work with big deals.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the current situation of the firearms industry and the Second
Right.
Amendment and things like that. And what has struck me is that you have a passion
Right.
for sharing firearms with new people and bringing new people into the fold. But I understand that you were pretty much a newbie yourself. So
Right.
how did you get started in firearms?
Right, and it's interesting because I feel that being new to the space is an advantage for me, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But I was hired as a network guy. I ran television networks in other parts of the country, and so I was hired strictly to grow the networks, not because I shot or fished or because I was a hunter. And so I came into the space about 3 years ago, and immediately was like struck by how awesome the industry is, and really the people in the industry. I was able to meet people like Michael Bain and Michael Waddell and Will Primos, and these just unbelievably good people. And the industry was explained to me, and I came from a place where I was what I would consider most Americans right now kind of gun agnostic. I didn't care if people own guns, really. I didn't care if people wanted to hunt, but I did think, well, there should be some regulations. That's kind of where my head was at. But as I learned more and more about the space, more and more about the people, I just became completely energized about how important this message is to America right now. And it's a lot more than protecting yourself. There's a lot more to it, and I think it's a message that Americans need to hear. And because I'm new to it, and because it's new to me, I don't have really what I would call a bunker mentality that a lot of people in the space do. Well, I'm going to protect what I have, and I'm going to protect. There has to be a lot more to it than that if people want to advance the cause of Second Amendments and hunting and shooting.
And pass those traditions on.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We really have to use the word evangelical.
Right.
We have to spread the news.
Right.
And pass it on.
Right, and the thing that's interesting to me because of the politics of it the last few years is that the Second Amendment and protecting yourself is on the forefront, and what unfortunately has been lost is the fun that's involved with shooting.
Well, that's what we like about it, and that's where I feel like it's very palatable for people to come into the sporting aspect of it. Some people don't understand hunting and what it does for the economy, your food, your table, and things like that. So that's not palatable for them. So I really enjoy sharing firearms through the shooting sports.
Yeah, and that's where, when we moved to Colorado, which is where we're headquartered, my wife and I, we went out and we got our concealed carry, and we've done all that, and we own a bunch of firearms right now. But we don't own these because we're afraid someone's going to break into our house. We own them because they're fun. And what we do is living in Colorado, we have a lot of visitors, a lot of family, and a lot of friends, and we will regularly take people up into the mountains to shoot. And what we do is we stop at the grocery store, buy a bunch of melons and apples and tomatoes and everything else. Yeah, a lot of targets, and we'll head up to the mountains. And I'll just use one example. As I have a nephew who is from Ohio, and we were driving up there. He was visibly, I could tell he was at
anxiety.
disease. Yeah, and I said, what's wrong? And he said, I don't think I want to shoot. I don't want to be near the guns. And I said, okay, I totally get that. I said, but do me a favor and let's go through the training and listen to all the training. And then if you don't want to shoot, there's four-wheelers or hiking. There's a million things he could have done. He went through the training, and literally 500 rounds later, he wants a Golden Boy for Christmas. I see, and besides recently feeling the incredible hurdle and the confidence that's cleared once people understand and start shooting a gun, but more importantly, they understand why people want guns. And I think what people in the industry for decades don't understand is what is at the basis of the misunderstanding of those people outside. And I think if you're not in the industry, you think, okay, guns, why do I need this gun? Why do you need that gun? Why do you need so many rounds? They don't understand that, first of all, what people need is different in this country. If we based everything off of what people needed, then we'd all live in small
Same
houses
thing.
and it'd be called socialism. You know, we
Yes.
give everybody what they need, but it's just fun, and that is completely lost on so many people, and that's why it's so important, I think, for people to intentionally be very intentional about their evangelical outreach for shooting sports. That's what we're trying to
Shooting
figure out.
sports, hunting.
Yeah, fishing is different because people don't have a disdain for
Well,
that.
that's still the outdoor lifestyle.
Well, it's
that
the
I
lifestyle.
feel like it's getting snuffed out. It's
Right.
getting snuffed out on mainstream media, and that's why I feel like it's such a huge deal for you to be in the position that you're in, and have this passion for it.
Right, right.
Because there are a lot of companies, even American companies, firearms companies, that have those people who have come in to grow the business.
Yeah.
And they don't have the passion of the Second Amendment or even the firearms lifestyle.
Right, and it's interesting because the thing that's most exciting to me and most frustrating to me is that the story is an easy one. It's one that when you sit and you explain to someone who's in the middle, if you're far left, you know, you're not going to listen. If you're far right, you already know. But for the huge majority of Americans who are in the middle, to be able to explain, let's just take hunting, you know, conservation, game management, the generational impact of, you know, hunting with grandpa, and now the girls who are getting into hunting, getting your kid off the couch, the idea of excise tax and what all that money does, and how important it is for game management, just so we're able to be able to control the various, just take deer alone. You know, you also have how healthy the food is. You know, there are so many, and when people hear that, they're like, oh man, I get it.
They understand.
Yeah, I get it. It's like, do I want my own kid to get off the couch? You know, this is a way to do it. Do I want my own kid to have an appreciation for nature and for the outdoors? This is a way to do it. Taking care of themselves with health.
Being able to hunt.
Right, and the responsibility of being able to handle and responsibly use a firearm. These are all things that you would think every parent would want for their children. Yeah, and then and so when you explain these things, I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, you see the light go off. And I've had people regularly tell me, well, I had no idea about excise tax. I had no idea about game management. If you ask a lot of people, they will say that hunting is the cause of extinction of animals, and there is the feeling that hunters shoot an animal, take a picture with it, and then walk away. They don't understand.
Like it's a bloodthirst thing.
Yeah, you're just some crazed individual who wants to go kill stuff. And so that's why what we're really trying to figure out, you know, on our networks is anybody we tell this story to who's currently watching the networks already understand it. But we need hunters and shooters to think in their mind, write a list. Okay, who are the people in my life who don't understand this story? And you have to go out and you have to tell them. Mm-hmm. You know, when was the last time you as a shooter invited a non-shooter out to the range?
And spent the time
and
that
spent
it takes.
the time, yeah, to train.
And the money.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only way it's going to change. And I talk about the fun aspect and all the positives, but on the negative side, we are very, very close. I think there's this train heading towards a person standing on a track, and they're like, well, that's never going to happen. I'll be fine. But even with this election coming up, if I'm just going to say, if Hillary Clinton wins and appoints Supreme Court justices, what we've seen in the past 8 years is that they no longer, you don't need the Senate, you don't need Congress, you can bypass them as a president. And what I mean by that is he or she could legislate, let people object on executive orders, then let it go into the judicial system. Now, fortunately, so far, because of the way the Supreme Court has been set up, we've won. President Obama's been rejected on a lot of that. But if that makeup changes, right, and you don't take any gun laws to the Senate or to Congress, but take them
to
directly,
the Supreme Court,
who you've appointed. So now, well, whether it's a terrorism, a homeland security, whatever it is, we are doing this really severe action against guns and gun owners, like a registry. That has happened in Hawaii. And then you bypass Washington, let there be lawsuits, then it works its way up to the Supreme Court, and now you have a Supreme Court that is heavily leaning the other way, and we will start to lose rights. There's no, it's not a question. It's a matter of when, if we don't, take charge somehow.
Well, as a pro shooter, that's kind of why I have tried to gather 50 women, one from every state, to go to D.C. and talk to our legislators. And anybody who's even listening to us now, you know, there's a call to action here for our Second Amendment rights, but also to pass on our traditions and our lifestyles. I hate it when people refer to the Second Amendment as a tradition. That's a constitutional right. But there is a lifestyle that goes along with that. So tell me a little bit about MO. My Outdoor MOTV.
Yeah, My Outdoor TV. If anybody's been paying any attention to the landscape of how cable networks and television is working today, is what's happening is most consumers of programming are able to watch what they want, when they want, and increasingly where they want. The idea of saying, well, gosh, it's 7:30 and my show is on, I'm going to go watch it, those days are quickly disappearing.
Come and gone.
Yeah, and so what every network has to have is the ability for people to watch the shows when and where and what they want to watch. And so MOTV, My Outdoor TV, it's a paid service, but it currently has about 2,500 to 3,000 episodes of the greatest hunting shows in the world. It has about 300 to 500 recipes and shooting tips, hunting tips, and the idea is for anybody who's into the outdoor space, it's going to be this awesome ability to watch, binge watch programming, hopefully get introduced to a lot of new programming, get recipes and tips. So, for example, if you're going to go
outside the states as well, because it'll be
it's going to be an international. It's already available in Canada. It's going to go into first all the English-speaking countries, just because it's really expensive to language version things, and so. But we're going to do that. But so if you're going to go, elk hunting in Colorado, you can type in elk hunting Colorado. Every show we have about elk hunting in Colorado will come up. Recipes for elk will come up. Any tips, if it's going to be bow, if you're shooting with a bow or hunting with a bow, whatever. So it's going to be an incredible outdoor experience for anybody who's into the space. So it just launched in June. Yeah, it's an app. It's hard to...
How do you get it?
Well, right now you can get it on Android, you can get it web, and you can have it actually put onto your television. Eventually will be in Apple. We're talking to Amazon and Roku. It'll be in all of those eventually, but right now if you log on to My Outdoor TV, you can download it, and you can, download series, and if you're going hunting or on a road trip, you can have all this stuff downloaded. But that's the future of television.
Right.
That's and we're pretty excited about that, because it's not often a small network like ours can be on the front end of technology, but this time we are. So it's a pretty cool application.
Well, and like I said, I feel like our lifestyle is being snuffed out of mainstream media. So it's really important that that our space actually keeps up with the technology and gives the viewers the opportunity.
Yeah, and remember, the people we're dealing with for distribution deals are in New York or Los Angeles, and a lot of people we deal with are not really friendly to the lifestyle. So it's important to have people have access. Now, all the current shows are still only available on your cable or satellite provider. This is a complement to that, but it is a way that every home that doesn't get our networks can, and it's a way to keep propagating the story. And again, I just think it's so important that people reach out and share the lifestyle. And I love that you call it a lifestyle, because that's exactly what it is. If you shoot or hunt or fish, you are a person who enjoys the outdoors, and you usually do it with your family,
very
you do it with friends.
Oriented.
It's just this country needs stuff like this right now, because you have, kids who are sitting in their house and they're playing their video games, and they're being told all these things about, it's a scary world and everything else. Just to get out and enjoy it is critical.
Probably on ADHD medicine.
Yeah, or some sort of anxiety. There's some.
Get out and play.
Yeah, that's the way it used to be. I hate to be so old that I can say I remember when, but used to get on.
I'm very young, and I can remember when.
Remember, you get on your bike in the summer.
Yeah.
You'd leave and come home at 6, and
when it was dark.
Yeah, or our family had a bell that they'd ring, and we'd know it was time to come home. But anyway, it's just something that we have to really be intentional. Yeah, and reach out. And,
evangelical.
Yep, to just tell the truth, speak the truth, brother and sister.
Well,
and get it out there.
I appreciate your position. I appreciate your passion, and I
Yeah.
appreciate the time that you've given us
Yeah,
today.
and we are open for any suggestions, because the thing, like I said, with our networks, we're preaching to the choir. Any viewer, consumer, hunter, angler, shooter who has an idea,
bringing new people into the fold.
bringing new people into the space, we are up for it, and we will invest in it. We will, because we get that we also need to bring new people into for us to continue. Because think about, as a network, and the hundreds of millions of dollars that have invested in these networks, let's say some crazy laws start to get enacted. What does that mean for our network?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Decrease.
Yeah, it's going to, or if guns are somehow, or some types of guns are no longer legal, what does that mean for the shooting shows?
Yeah.
It's something that I think, again, and I love to lead with the fun and make sure that the fear of it is secondary, but the fear and the concern is real, and people need to understand that. And I think there's some belief that, well, that'll never happen, that'll never happen. I've said that a lot in the last 8 years. Yeah.
I've heard it a lot.
Yeah.
Trying to explain that is...
Well, you look at Russia. I was over at Russia this year, and the gun clubs there, you cannot take the gun out of the club. And, that would seem like a very common sense thing in this country. Okay, yeah, we're not going to say you can't shoot anymore, but you have to go to the clubs and do that, or even hunting. Why wouldn't they say, you can't keep a hunting rifle, but we'll have a place you can go, lease one for a week, it is not impossible to see these things coming, and we just need to be ready and aware.
Great Britain,
yeah,
there are people who didn't necessarily give up all their guns and they have somebody break in.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones, if they use their gun in defense of themselves, they're the ones that are going to go to jail.
Yeah.
So that's just a scary... As somebody who's carried a gun for 22 years as a profession, I just cannot imagine going about my daily world without having some sort of protection. So.
Yeah, and the thing that's weird is I feel we are one election away, this next election away, from these things happening or not happening. I really believe that with my whole heart. And if you are watching what's happening and some of these rules and regulations that are, it's look.
And they say, they tell you what they want. They want all your guns.
Right.
Dianne Feinstein has no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
She will not stop until every gun is turned in.
Yeah, and Hillary loves the Australian model,
Yes.
which is the same, it's the same deal. And it's a little bit frightening, but.
Well,
Yep.
I think we did good.
Yeah.
Brian, are we even still going, or did it die?
No, it's good.
Good?
All right.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I really